Do you want to harness the power of the crowd to breathe life into your projects and your ideas? Do you want to bring a new product or invention to the world, maybe a tabletop or a board game? It could even be an album or a music piece. Maybe you're even thinking of using crowdfunding or planning a campaign for something like a charitable endeavor or a nonprofit. Well, if you are, you definitely want to do this effectively. You don't want to burn the midnight oil and have this be a huge headache in your life. So if this sounds like something that's going to be interesting and important when it comes to your launch, you definitely want to watch until the end of this video, because I want to share with you some of the key steps to make sure you do this efficiently, effectively, and you really have the straightest path to success. My name is Salvador Briggman. Grab a bowl of popcorn and a Diet Coke and buckle up, get ready to learn, because we got a great video for you today. All right, man, so let's get right into this. I have been in the crowdfunding industry since 2012, covering some of the major different areas when it comes to crowdfunding. And I'll tell you that the most successful campaigns don't happen by accident. They have certain tenets, tactics, and strategies in common. I really devoted this YouTube channel to cover that, but also on my podcast, Crowdfunding Demystified, where we interview creators every single week in terms of what's happening behind the scenes with their successful campaigns. In addition, I've distilled all that information into valuable articles I published on my website and really try to put out high quality education for people just like you. So if you want to be effective with crowdfunding, you got to make sure that you fit number one into a major category when it comes to crowdfunding. Now, all the time I'll get calls from coaching students who have really like interesting offbeat creative ideas, but you really got to fit those ideas into creative constraints in order to be effective. You can come out with a new film or a new book, but if it doesn't fit into a major genre, it's going to be quite challenging to find an audience. And there are 4 proven types of crowdfunding, or methods, if you will, that can harness the power of the crowd. The first is called rewards-based crowdfunding. And that's really where you're raising money from the crowd. And in addition to that, you're giving them an experience, you're giving them products in return. So rewards-based crowdfunding, we tend to think of platforms like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, where you're raising money for your funding and you're giving people perks or rewards as an exchange. It's what they're getting. We also then have donation-based crowdfunding or charity crowdfunding. We tend to think of websites like GoFundMe and also other ones out there that allow you to do peer-to-peer fundraising. This is when you're raising money from the crowd, and what they're getting is to be able to impact the world in some way. You're going out there, you're hustling, you are the one who's in the field, in the trenches, that's actually doing the work, and they're the ones that are providing the funding when it comes to impacting the world in that positive way. That's what we call donation-based or nonprofit or charitable crowdfunding. The next type is going to be equity crowdfunding. And equity crowdfunding is kind of the new kid on the block. We also call that investment crowdfunding. That's because what people are getting when they support your campaign is actually ownership or shares in your company. So equity crowdfunding or investment crowdfunding is a really cool way to get angel investors, to get seed capital, to get VCs on your board, to make sure that you have funding to be able to accelerate the growth of your company. And that's typically when we're thinking of startups and larger businesses or small businesses that are trying to become big business. We think of equity crowdfunding. And lastly, we have a couple of different alternative versions. I would say subscription-based crowdfunding, which is people supporting you on a regular basis. Websites like Patreon, for example. We also have some kind of alternative niches as well. I've written books on like real estate crowdfunding, where you can raise money for properties, or kind of a debt-focused crowdfunding as well. So my first tip in being effective with crowdfunding is to make sure you are using the right method. I can't tell you the number of times I have a call with a student and they're using the wrong type of crowdfunding. So you gotta make sure that you are dialed in and you're using the right method for your specific need or cause or project, and also based on your goals and your objectives, how much you want to raise, what's realistic for your category or the specific project that you have, where success rates are really showing up when it comes to your specific situation, and more importantly, based on the impact that you want to make and the experience that you want to give to the people that are your crowd. Tip number 2, and I am probably guilty of this more than anyone else, and that's just thinking that because I have a great, beautiful, amazing idea, right, that other people are also going to view that in the same light. Or because you've been working on a project or a prototype, that other people are instantly going to want to buy it. Well, really, I think that this is the biggest part of crowdfunding. And that's really thinking about what is in it for the crowd. So if you want to effectively raise money from the crowd, you really got to think about that carrot, right? What is it that they're going to be? Why are they participating? Why do they want to join your movement? Why do they become a part of your tribe? Why do they want to put down their hard-earned dollars in order to help you in this area of either building your brand or raising money to start a nonprofit organization or even to grow a company that you can one day sell to a larger competitor or to do an IPO? What is in it for the crowd, which is really the next most effective and important tip. And that's also going to really inform your strategy when it comes to marketing, but also the perks and rewards that you make available to your backers. Number 3 in the list is probably actually one of the most important points I'm going to make in this video. It's also one of the coolest because we've been seeing a proliferation of what I'm about to mention all across the world, because crowdfunding initially started in the United States. I was covering this when I was going to school at George Washington University in Washington, DC. I also started talking a lot about this when I traveled to New York, and I lived in New York for 6 years, right by Kickstarter's headquarters. Crowdfunding initially was very American, but there's also many other websites and platforms out there around the globe when it comes to raising money with a crowdfunding campaign. So my next step is to pick the right platform for you. If you pick the wrong platform, and I've definitely had students who come to me after they've raised money on a platform and it didn't really go the way that they want, and then we kind of do a course correction and make sure they're going with a platform that's going to really suit their needs and has a great audience specifically for their project. So you want to make sure you pick the right platform. And it's very challenging to really understand all the intricacies of the different platforms out there. I think one of the easiest ways is just to become a little bit more educated. I'll talk about that more in a further point. But the platform is going to, number one, determine the audience which you have access to. Those regular backers or investors or donors, that's really going to be dictated by the platform. In addition, the functionality that you have at your disposal to market the heck out of this campaign, to do promotion, etc. And also, when it comes to that platform specifically, the brand name, the recognition, the trust that comes with that, and the team behind that platform, and the degree to which they can help you when it comes to your launch.
Want to take all the stress out of fulfilling your Kickstarter rewards? Fulfillrite is the turnkey solution that puts product delivery on autopilot. The Top Campaigns uses trusted high-tech provider to store, package, and ship their products. Focus on growing your business. Leave shipping to the experts. Don't wait. Get a custom quote from Fulfillrite today. Link in the description.
This element has impacted my life in such a profound way. And what I'm about to say is kind of scary, a little bit intimidating. And if you've never done it before, it can definitely hold you back from success in many areas of your life as a business owner, as a leader, as a social change maker, or a social entrepreneur, or an artist. You gotta master what I'm about to mention next if you wanna go big. You gotta create a marketing plan. Gosh darn it, this is so incredibly important. If you got a notebook in front of you, write this down: to create a marketing plan. And more specifically, I'm referring to a digital marketing plan. You'll actually be a surprised number of people that I talk with who actually have a pretty decent offline marketing plan, or they're going to conferences, or they're showing off their prototype, or they're having people read their book, right? Or they're going to even tabletop game stores and showing off their game. But you really need a digital marketing plan, because that's what scales. That's what has legs. That's where virality can come in when it comes to this campaign. People can start singing your praises. All of a sudden, you have thousands of people that are visiting your campaign worldwide, bloggers and PR writing about you, influencers talking about you, you being featured on YouTube channels. This is one of the most critical components, is that you got to create a marketing plan. And now I do have people who, write in and shoot me an email. You can go to my website, crowdcrux.com. You can actually shoot me an email right then and there. And they'll say, Sal, love the videos, but I've been going on this platform for a specific reason. That's because I don't want to have to market. I want to just gamify the algorithm, or I want to join a marketplace where regular backers and nonprofit donors are, and I really just want to launch that way. Can I do that? And my unfortunate answer to that is that maybe in the early days, yes, you could just throw up a campaign and it would instantly get funded. But that kind of effect that we saw in the early days, nowadays it's more about priming the pump. You got to bring a little bit of your own crowd to the platform in order to begin to start trending on most major websites that are out there. So marketing has got to be a part of your game plan. And again, I'm telling you, this can change your life overnight instantly people can become aware of your brand, what you're doing, the way that you're, putting out good stuff or goodwill or what you're creating. This can have a huge impact not only on your campaign, but also the future of your business or your brand. Sometimes people get to like the midway point of the video. Make sure you watch to the end of the video. And if you have been enjoying this content and the way that I kind of explain this, make sure you give me a thumbs up, come subscribe for more content just like this. Leave a comment down below. Tell me more about your project. Share more about what you're doing when it comes to your work and what you're passionate about. So this next tip is probably, one of the things that holds many people back from just seeing that kind of instant level of success that we sometimes talk about or you listen to on my podcast, Crowdfunding Demystified. And that's when it comes to the marketing, you need to think about building your tribe. And the sooner that you begin to build your tribe, the easier it's going to be not only to do a crowdfunding launch and to launch effectively, but also to jumpstart the growth of your organization, your business, whatever you're putting out there to the world, whether just spreading your ideas nationwide or worldwide. That's going to be so much easier when you have a tribe. So that comes from communication, that comes from understanding social media, that comes from being willing to just, voice your opinion or to share what you're doing from behind the scenes standpoint or what you're working on or your creative inspiration, right? Or the way in which, for example, currently there's a massive problem that no one is aware of. Control the dialogue, control the conversation, and people will start to notice you and want to be a part of your tribe and your solutions which you're creating to these problems. So that kind of goes beyond the scope of this video. I do have other videos out there that I would recommending on building your tribe and also getting your first 1,000 fans. You can go and check out on my YouTube channel more video content about that and as well about digital marketing. But if you really want me to hold your hand through this process, if you want to make sure you're doing this right, you're building a strong foundation going into your campaign, you can dive into this archive of all these campaigns I've helped over the years, all the different strategies I've seen that work and don't work, and apply that to your specific case. And if that sounds like something you are interested in and ready to invest in yourself, you can go down below. You can book an individual one-on-one coaching call with me. Don't hesitate. The sooner that I can impact your trajectory, the more profound that impact can be. So you make sure you show up and you really run an effective crowdfunding campaign. Go to the link down below at crowdcrux.com/coaching and you can book that call ASAP at crowdcrux.com/coaching and you can learn more about that as well. Every single guest that I've had on my show, every person I've spoken with who's grown into a major success in their arena, and also those people who have run multiple successful crowdfunding campaigns. You're definitely going to want to apply the next one that I mentioned, and that's to become a sponge and soak up as much education as possible. Now, you're already doing that, so I give you massive kudos to that, but you want to really follow through with that. You want to read books, you want to get your hands on as many videos as possible. You want to start listening to podcasts. You want to start reading and just also browsing the platforms that you are interested in. So if I mentioned one and one kind of, called out to you, go and check out some of the platforms and also donate to some of these campaigns, back one on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, invest in one on WeFunder or Start Engine, and just start to participate, become a consumer when it comes to crowdfunding. So you can see the experience, but also so you can get a crystal clear idea of how these platforms really work. And that's going to benefit you tenfold. So change the voices you're listening to, really start to focus more on education, and also spend a little bit of time becoming a consumer, becoming a participant in the crowdfunding industry, and that's going to pay you back in dividends tenfold. So I am an author. I do put out education on Amazon. I have a couple of books out there on crowdfunding, on Kickstarter, the Kickstarter launch formula. I have the nonprofit fundraising hacks and nonprofit crowdfunding explained. I have real estate crowdfunding explained, equity crowdfunding explained. So I'm going to try to link to some of those in the description down below. If you want to listen on the go via Audible or grab a paperback version, that's a great place to start. If you're not yet ready to invest in your education, which I totally understand, you can also go to my website, crowdcrux.com, and we publish articles on there regularly. You can also hop on my newsletter at crowdcrux.com/newsletter, where I send out weekly killer crowdfunding tips and, more importantly, some of those tools, tips, and techniques, which I'm seeing right now work really well when it comes to crowdfunding. But regardless, whatever you're doing out there, man, really breathe life into that through daily action. We have so many great ideas, and a beautiful idea can sometimes consume us, right? And it makes us want to obsess about that. But you really only turn those ideas into action with an effective crowdfunding campaign if you're willing to move forward, to push through those obstacles every single week, to continue to show up. And if you're willing to do that, I'm telling you, this is a lot easier than you ever imagined, even though it sounds a little bit complicated. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Come subscribe to this YouTube channel for more content like this every single week. My name is Salvador Briggman. Leave a comment down below if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week.